The war god who never kneeled. Marc Márquez versus Valentino Rossi's shadow. 7 scars on one arm. 108 crashes since 2020 Jerez. 2,184 days without a crown. Those aren't stats. Those are prison numbers carved into the bone of a man who refused parole. The lights of Motegi burned white that Sunday. Japan, the empire where Honda once kept him in chains, now bowed while Ducati wrapped him in blood-red armor. A Spaniard screaming inside his helmet, 9 titles blazing in the history books, Rossi's ghost burning in the stands. Valentino had drawn up his rival list days before. Stoner, Lorenzo, Biaggi, Pedrosa. No Márquez. The insults stung like salt rubbed into a battlefield wound. No mention of the kid who sliced through MotoGP from 2013 like a guillotine. No mention of the soldier who buried Rossi in the dirt every year except one. The war drums were deafening. And the cliffhanger? Márquez's answer was colder than a knife through glass. We never fought for a championship. That wasn't a dismissal. That was execution. And now the season of brutality rolled into legend. Marc Márquez didn't arrive in MotoGP. He invaded it. 2013, rookie, straight to the title, making the doctor look like a museum piece. Rossi finished 4th that year, waving to the stands while Márquez painted his own fresco on the asphalt. 2014, domination. 13 wins, 10 in a row. Rossi fought, clawed, sweated. Came second? Yes. But second is just the first loser when the Repsol assassin stalks the track. 2015, the infamous betrayal. Rossi smelled his 10th crown. Lorenzo sharpened his blade. Márquez? He played the dark hand in Sepang, the shadow rider, the chaos agent, the ranch feud, the yellow mobs, the accusations of conspiracy. That season left Rossi broken, Márquez bloodied, and Lorenzo crowned. A 3-way war that ended friendships, burned bridges, and lit eternal grudges. After that, the myth kept growing. 2016, Márquez champion. Rossi, runner-up again. 2017, Márquez champion. Rossi, 5th, limping. 2018, Márquez champion. Rossi, 3rd, aging. 2019, Márquez champion. Rossi, 7th, fading like an old tattoo. Every year, Márquez was a title. Every year, Rossi was nostalgia. The numbers weren't rivalry, they were gravestones. Then the curse. Jerez 2020. Arm shattered, 4 surgeries, nerves dead, vision blurred, whispers he'd never race again. Those weren't seasons. They were funerals. Honda fed him junk bikes, unrideable steel coffins disguised as machines. Doubters danced on his grave. But legends don't die easy. He dragged himself back, ghost of himself, dragging that Honda to places it didn't deserve, crashing 108 times, paying the toll of blood and bone. 2023, he walks out. No salary, no promise, nothing but rage. He takes a year-old Gresini Ducati, a machine meant for leftovers, and finishes 3rd in the championship. That was the message carved in stone. It wasn't Honda that made Márquez. It was Márquez who made Honda look immortal. 2024, he steps into factory Ducati. The GP25 was a ghost bike, heavy, unstable, hated by its own engineers, and he bent it to his will. 2025, champion again. 7 Premier Class titles, 9 overall. The drought ended, the system broken, the doubters silenced. The villains were many: Honda's greed, Rossi's bitterness, Ducati politics, media vultures. But Márquez turned every enemy into myth. Every scar on his arm is a monument. Every crash is a sermon. Every silence from his rivals is proof that he became their nightmare. There's always one night when the soldier decides he's not dying in the mud. For Márquez, it was Valencia 2023. A Gresini Ducati GP23, old, outgunned, but when he rode it, the paddock gasped. The body language screamed. It was never me that was finished. It was Honda. From that night, destiny flipped. 2024, the Catalunya test. He climbed onto the GP25, a bike that scared even Bagnaia, and made it kneel. Reporters whispered, "He rides it like it's an extension of his veins." Engineers muttered, "If Alex is this fast, what about Marc?" That was the ignition spark. By ThaiGP 2025. The storm was full fire. Hole shot. Win. The execution season had begun. The turning point wasn't one race. It was the accumulation. The decision to bleed until there was nothing left. Quote after quote, like bullets. "I wasn't searching for a bike, I was searching for myself." When you've lived 5 years in hell, you don't fear fire anymore. We don't fight for podiums, we fight for thrones. At Misano, he carved lines like poetry with knives. At Motegi, the screams inside his helmet were not celebration, they were resurrection. He rode like a man who had been caged with a knife, and the door had just swung open. The firestorm was not about speed, it was about identity. Márquez remembered who he was. The rest of the grid remembered what it meant to fear him. Domination is not numbers. Domination is suffocation. 11 wins in 2025 before Mandalika. Each one wasn't a trophy. Each one was a nail hammered into Rossi's ghost, into Honda's coffin, into Bagnaia's fragile confidence. Alex Marquez tried, shadow brother with his own Ducati blade, but Marc was 3 points clear at every step. Bagnaia, champion once, twice, looked like a man drowning in the GP25's ghost grip. His points per round collapsed from 24.9 to 14.8, statistically his worst since 2020. That's not a dip, that's a collapse. Psychological warfare? Marquez wrote the textbook. When Rossi left him off the rival list, he didn't rage, he whispered. We never fought for a championship. That silence was heavier than insults. It said, you were my idol, but you were never my equal. Factories played politics. Ducati fed Bagnaia excuses. Honda scrambled for relevance. Aprilia and KTM pushed like wolves. Marquez didn't care. He sharpened. Every quote was a dagger. Every race a war crime. His stats weren't neutral, they were executions. 11 wins equal 11 funerals for rivals. 25 race wins since 2024, 25 hammers smashing Honda's betrayal. 108 crashes since Jerez, 108 times he died and came back. Repetition became gospel. Marquez rides, others survive. Marquez fights, others fold. Marquez bleeds, others pray. Every win was a nail in their coffin. Every loss was a blueprint for revenge. The war wasn't on track only. It was in the press rooms, in the garages, in the eyes of rivals who no longer made eye contact. Motegi, Japan. Land of his deepest wound, land of his greatest scream. When the checkered flag fell, the pit wall detonated. Ducati mechanics climbing fences, Alex watching like a shadow brother, Bagnaia silent, Rossi somewhere in Italy watching history erase him in real time. Marc screamed inside his helmet, fists pounding the tank. Not for points, not for numbers, for survival, for rebirth. Fans cried in the grandstands, reporters stumbled for words, the paddock bowed, even if grudging. And in that chaos, the iconic line carved itself in history. Marc Márquez is the war god who never kneeled. 7 Premier Class titles, 9 overall, oldest champion of the modern era. Comeback after 6 years in hell. Honda erased, Ducati redeemed. This wasn't coronation, this was execution. Legacy is measured in scars, not smiles. Márquez now sits alongside Rossi in numbers, 7-7 in Premier Class, but the texture is different. Rossi had charm, Márquez had brutality. Rossi was the doctor, Márquez was the executioner. Compared to Stoner's raw talent, Lorenzo's precision, Pedrosa's grace, Márquez is the savage synthesis, a serial killer with surgical hands. But the haunting questions remain. He's already planning 2026. Can he break his 2014 record of 13 wins? Can he carry Ducati past its own politics? Will his body hold after 4 surgeries and 108 crashes? And what of Rossi? The myth of yellow still sells caps, but history books will cut colder. When Márquez entered, Rossi never lifted another crown. Their rivalry wasn't on track, it was in destiny. Legends are remembered, but serial champions are feared, and Marc Márquez is fear given flesh and wheels.